All right, so example 3 is a little different because we have an a coefficient that's a 2, and we can't complete the square unless a is equal to 1. So what we got to do is we got to divide both sides of the equation, divide everything by 2. So I'm going to do just that. And this tends to scare some students because we're going to end up with some fractions, but as long as we follow our steps, we'll be just fine. So 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. Negative 5x divided by 2 is negative 5 halves x. And then 3 divided by 2 is positive 3 halves. And of course 0 divided by 2 is still a 0. Okay, still going to do the same thing. Move that other thing around to the other side, or c coefficient. So I'm going to subtract 3 halves to both sides. Okay, so again, let's cancel. And we get x squared minus 5 halves x. And then leave some space. We're going to get a negative 3 halves. All right, so our b coefficient is a negative 5 halves. So don't let the fraction scare you. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take b over 2, and I'm going to do just that. I'm going to put negative 5 halves and divide it by 2. So you can stick this in your calculator. What you're going to end up getting is you're going to get a negative 5 over 4. Okay, so that's divided by 2. Then we also got to square it. Okay, so we'll take a negative 5/4 and square it. Okay, and when you square it, you can square the numerator and square the denominator for fractions. So negative 5 squared is 25, and 4 squared is 16. So that fraction will turn into 25/16. And that's what we're going to add to both sides of this equation, plus 25 over 16. Okay, we still got to factor the left side, but it's super easy because we know that every factor for completing the square is the same thing, x, and then whatever half of b is. And we know what half of b is. It's negative 5/4, so minus 5 over 4. So don't forget the squared. And there, we're good to go. Make that 5 better. All right, so negative 5 over 4. Okay, so then we got to combine negative 3 halves plus 25 over 16. So if I just get a common denominator, which is 8, we're basically going to get negative 24 over 16 plus 25 over 16, and you're going to get 1 over 16. All right, so now go to our next step, and we're going to square root both sides. Okay, so again, we get whatever's inside the parentheses out by itself, plus or minus, don't forget that. And square roots work the same way as powers with the fractions. So we can square root the 1 in the numerator and get 1. And if we take the square root of 16 in the denominator, we get 4. So the square root of 1/16 is 1/4. All right, and then we still got to combine like terms. Solve for x. So plus 5/4, and then plus 5 over 4 here. Okay, those are going to cancel. And we're going to get x equals 5/4 plus or minus 1/4. Now here I don't have any radicals, so I can combine these two fractions. I can combine 5/4 plus 1/4 and 5/4 minus 1/4, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take x equals 5 over 4 plus 1/4, and then x equals 5 over 4 minus 1/4. All right, so I got both the plus and the minus there. And then I just work them out and simplify. So 5/4 plus 1/4 is 6/4, which is just 3 halves. And on this one, 5/4 minus 1/4 is 4 over 4, and same over the same is a 1. And that's all.